Congratulations. I would now like to invite the two charities, two mayor charities for the year 2023-2024, the Lennox Children's Cancer Fund and Feeding the Family charities to please come forward to receive their checks. Call forth Feeding the Family to receive their check. And Lennox Children's Cancer Fund.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
And now we move on to the election of Mayor of Basildon, Basildon Borough Council, 2024-2025 municipal year. Could I have any nominations or nominations from the floor for who they are proposing as to be the mayor? So we need a proposer and a seconder for mayor. Okay, Councillor Brown.
Do I propose now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm supposed to send it.
Is it a link here?
Yeah, it's with great pleasure and pride that I nominate my friend and my comrade, Alan Davis. Many of you have known Alan for a long time. He has been our longest-serving Labour councillor for over 20 years. During that time, he has served in Pitsea, in Leindon, in the New Town, and we presently serve as councillors together. And I have learnt a lot from Alan over the years. He's a wonderful man, full of compassion. He has integrity. Even the Tories say he's a decent bloke, because he is. He is somebody with great pride, has always involved himself with young people, whether that's the youth services or his present job at James Hornsby, that brings him a lot of pleasure, but also a lot of pride that he gets to work with young people every day. I have no doubt that Alan will represent this whole council with dignity and compassion, and that under his leadership as mayor we will see a wonderful administration this year that is calm in this chamber but represents us with pride and dignity across the borough at every event he goes to. And I know that this means a lot to him. As somebody who was born in Basildon and raised here, and who raised his family here, and Ali is here tonight, and together they live here in the borough, and I know what this means to him, and I hope that all of you, all 42 of us, can get behind Alan and support him this year. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Seconder. Seconded by Councillor McGeorge. Any other nominations from the floor? Okay, Councillor Blake.
Yeah, thank you. Can't disagree with a lot of those sentiments made about Alan Davis, if I'm being perfectly honest. Being a gentleman through and through, and I always remember how kind he was to my wife when she lost her seat, and that's something I shall never forget. We'll miss some of our antics that we have in full council if you do get the position. But I'm proposing Danny Lawrence. I think he's an excellent person to be a candidate for this, to be mayor. He's worked hard, tirelessly, been a fantastic person on licensing. Again, a bit like what you said about Alan, I can't believe there's one person in this room that dislikes him, an honourable man, and I'd like to propose Alan. Alan? All right, nice try. Forward and sit there. I'd propose Danny. Oh, my God.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder?
Yeah, formally second, Councillor Lawrence.
I think we've got. Councillor Smith, did you have a nomination?
There we go. Yes, Madam Mayor, it wouldn't be full council if I didn't nominate my long-term friend. I don't disagree with the positive comments made about my colleagues, Councillor Davis and Councillor Lawrence. But there's one person we need with the experience, the ability to play origami of the council's constitution, even though it's completely doesn't work out right. I would like to propose our universal friend in this chamber, David Dads.
And that will be seconded by? Okay. All right. Okay, we take it to the vote.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I assume former Councillor Dads didn't get a seconder.
Okay. We're taking it to the vote. All in favour of Councillor Davis? All in favour of Councillor Lawrence? Councillor Davis is elected mayor.
Well, thank you, members. I've been a member of this council for 22 years, and although during this time I've been chair of some of the committees, this is by far the greatest honour, and to be Mayor of Basildon Borough is an absolute privilege. I've lived here all of my life and believe this borough is truly a great place to live, work, learn and do business. Both sets of my grandparents, Mr and Mrs Davis and Mr and Mrs Kirkman, moved here from East London to the new town in the early 1960s. My parents grew up and started a family here. I was born here in St Andrew's Hospital, Billericay, and my children were born here. You could say Basildon Borough is in my DNA. And as we approach our 75th anniversary as a new town, you can be assured that I will, in my duties as Mayor, endeavour to be a good ambassador for the council and for the borough and represent the interests of the residents who put us here. And I will be visiting and supporting our community groups, businesses and charities and whoever else will have me. We are all still reeling from the shock of tragically losing our former Mayor, Luke Mackenzie. He and I chatted on occasions, and I remember one time I was standing outside a pub waiting for someone, and I heard a familiar voice call my name. It was Luke, and this was before he came onto the council for the second time. We hadn't seen each other for years, and we got talking and had a bit of a catch-up right out of the blue. And that was one of his strengths, his ability to launch into conversation, have a decent, friendly, warm chat with people and everyone that he met. And that is key to being a good mayor, key to engaging with the community. I'm looking forward to getting started and meeting all the diverse, interesting and wonderful people that call this place home. Thank you. Item 2, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence? None? Okay. I'll move on to item 3. Appointment of the Deputy Mayor of Basildon Borough Council 2024-25 municipal year. I ask for nominations for the Deputy Mayor for the 2024-2025 municipal year. Are there any proposal nominations? Yes, Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And may I first of all congratulate you on your election to your position, and I look forward to working with you. Mr Mayor, it's my great privilege to be able to nominate my friend and colleague, Councillor Victoria Joseph. When I first met Victoria, I was struck by her enthusiasm and compassion for supporting those most vulnerable in our communities. I was proud to support her in her campaign to be elected in Laneham Park last year. And I've been proud to watch her over the last year throw herself into the role of being a councillor for Laneham Park Ward, where she has always put forward the needs of her residents and wanted to get involved in all the needs of community groups around the Laneham Park area, particularly focused around young people and the challenges that they face within our borough and providing opportunities for them. Councillor Joseph has been a fantastic advocate for Laneham. She'll be a fantastic advocate for our borough and will be a great support to you. It's with great privilege that I nominate her this evening, Mr Mayor.
And do you have a seconder? Councillor, would you like to speak? No, okay, formally second. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the role of Deputy Mayor? Councillor Blake.
I'll try and get a name right this time. Another person that served Wickford very well over the last year or so and be dedicated to the residents of that area. I'd like to nominate Alex Myers, please.
Are there any seconders to that proposal?
A second.
Councillor Lawrence. Okay, there being 2 nominations, I will call a direct vote. Raise your hands, all those in favour of Councillor Joseph. All those in favour of Councillor Myers. Councillor Joseph is elected Deputy Mayor.
Alright, don't worry. So we'll give you a date there, so sign date there. Alright, I'll just sign it and I think you're all good to go. Congratulations. Alright, good luck.
Oh, thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for all that you've done and the certificate of previous deputy mayor. It's complicated.
Good evening, everyone. I am deeply honoured and humbled to stand before you as the new Deputy Mayor of Basildon. This role is a privilege, and I am truly grateful for the trust and confidence you have placed in me. First and foremost, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to family, friends, and colleagues who have supported me throughout this journey. Your encouragement has been invaluable, and I would not be here without you. To my fellow council members, thank you for electing me to this important role. I am committed to serving our community with dedication and integrity. Basildon is a vibrant and diverse place, and I'm excited to work alongside our mayor and our council to address the challenges we face and seize the opportunities ahead. My focus will be enhancing the qualities of life for all our residents, fostering economic growth, and ensuring that our town becomes a safe, welcoming, and thriving community. I look forward to collaborating with local businesses, community groups, and each of you to make Basildon an even better place to live and work. Together, we can achieve great things. Thank you once again for this incredible opportunity. I am eager to get started and serve you with all my heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much and congratulations, Deputy Mayor. Moving on to item number 4, the appointment of the Basildon Borough Youth Mayor and Deputy Youth Mayor for 2024-25 municipal year. I would like to welcome representatives of the Youth Council to the meeting and seek approval of Council to the appointment of Kukua Ado as Youth Mayor and Imogen Halloway as Deputy Youth Mayor for the 2024-25 municipal year. I would like to take approval as consensus rather than a vote of the meeting without need for a formal vote. Do I have general assent and approval of the meeting? Thank you very much.
Honourable councillors, invited guests, fellow youth council members, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and my name is Kukwa Adu, and I am delighted and privileged to be Youth Mayor of Basildon. As some of you may already know, last year I was Deputy Youth Mayor and had the honour of attending a few events alongside the then Mayor and Deputy Mayor of Basildon. As a member of the Youth Council, I also acted as Secretary and played an active role in the Youth Council and attended regular meetings. I've been lucky enough to be part of the Youth Council for 2 years now, and I've learned a lot in my time so far. To me, the Youth Council is a place for like-minded people to come together and discuss issues that truly matter to us as youth, like safety and knife crime. The Youth Council helps to cultivate and learn new skills and how to use our voice and opinions. I believe the Youth Council to be a very special place, and I hope that sentiment is shared with all of you. As part of the Youth Council, we take part in many different events, such as Stop the Hate, which talks of the importance of remembering past events, such as the Srebrenica genocide, and raising awareness of issues close to home, such as knife crime. As a youth council, we also took part in the Armed Forces Day, which celebrated the hard work of not only war veterans, but also the cadets. We've also had the pleasure of having visitors to the Youth Council, wanting to have the opinion of young people. For example, the Youth Council spoke with the council's team regarding planning a survey, which they wanted our views on how to tailor it to young people. Councillor Sargent and Councillor Ball have also come to visit the Youth Council, inquiring how we were doing. We've also had the opportunity to host the Basildon Volunteer Awards this year and greatly look forward to hosting again next year. Looking ahead to the future, we'd like to encourage more visitors to the Youth Council so the voices of young people can be heard. We also look forward to more training opportunities for the Youth Council, some of which we've already had, such as how to plan a project. Also, we look forward to selecting a charity to support this year, just as we have done in previous years. Equally, of course, we encourage more members to join the Youth Council, although the Youth Council has considerably grown in the past 2 years. Ultimately, I look forward to working tirelessly as Youth Mayor, and am excited to work side along the Deputy Youth Mayor and the Mayor and Deputy Mayor of Basildon, who I congratulate on their election. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for listening.
Congratulations and thank you for a wonderful speech. Members, I now move on to item 5, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest to be made by members? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just the usual, being a county councillor.
Councillor Headley.
Yeah, in respect of motions number 4, a similar motion was already passed at Essex County Council. My position on the national infrastructure is a matter of record.
We're not in an extraordinary meeting at the moment. I think you might be referring to that meeting rather than the AGM, but thank you for your declaration of interest. Councillor McGarren.
Declaration of interest to Essex County Councillor.
It'd be best if I take all Essex County Councillor present in the room as on block as declaration of interest. Thank you. Item number 6, the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 21st of March 2024. I'm hoping to seek a consensus of the meeting of a general approval without a formal vote. Do I have a consensus? Yeah, thank you. Announcements. Does the Deputy Mayor or Chief Executive wish to make an announcement? No announcements. Moving on to item 8, election of leader of the council. May I ask for nominations for the leader of the council for the 2024-25 municipal year? Do I have any proposers? Councillor Yacoub, do you have a seconder?
Yeah, I propose Councillor Callaghan, and my seconder is Alex.
Councillor Harrison. Thank you. Councillor Yacoub, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and let me first begin by congratulating yourself and the Deputy Mayor on your appointments. Basildon is certainly in good hands with you as its first citizen and Councillor Joseph as its second. Mr Mayor, when I think of leadership, what it means to me, to this chamber, and to the residents of our borough, it fundamentally comes down to projecting safety amid noise and chaos. I take you back to March 2020, when this borough, alongside the rest of the world, faced an unprecedented and unpredictable challenge in the COVID pandemic. Since some of us may wish to forget that COVID ever happened, and there are others who cannot, even if they tried, I promise to keep it brief. We were faced with a monumental task. Our residents were scared, and the uncertainty was crippling. Under the leadership of Councillor Callaghan, this council delivered the fastest COVID response team and strategy in the country. While other councils were still grappling with the unfolding news, we were already prepared to tackle it head on. That's agility. Time of chaos. Mr. Mayor, during the most difficult periods for council budgets, Basildon Council, under Councillor Callaghan's leadership, successfully grew and maintained an investment portfolio of commercial properties. The revenue generated from these investments proved crucial in helping us continue to deliver for our residents. This strategic move demonstrated not only innovation and foresight, but more importantly, safety in a time of financial constraints. Mr. Mayor, in the middle of a national housing crisis, we were building new council homes under Councillor Callaghan's leadership. This initiative proved much needed housing for our residents and showcased a commitment to addressing the critical issues facing our community. After all, what embodies safety more than the comfort of one's home? This is why I am proud to stand before you to nominate Councillor Callaghan as the leader of the council once again. I cannot think of a better time when our residents could use leadership with vision, leadership with foresight, leadership enveloped in safety. And let's face it, the other side of this chamber have certainly spent the last 3 years reminiscing about him. Mr. Mayor, it's time to give our borough a real chance. So I formally propose that this council appoints Councillor Callaghan as the leader of the council. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Yaqub. Councillor Harrison, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your new role and on Councillor Joseph's new role as well. I look forward to working with both of you in the years to come. I'm delighted to second my friend Gavin Callaghan for the role of leader of the council, a role he has plenty of experience in, having done it twice before. I first met Gavin in 2015, and within a few hours he was already asking me to run to be a councillor in Basildon. I actually said no. But a few months later, I was on the ballot in Langdon Hills in the first of my 5 elections to date, which goes to show just how persuasive he can be. Since then, I've got to know Gavin as a friend, as a Labour Party comrade, and even as a boss, although not quite for as long as Councillor Schrader's blog would suggest. Gavin is a family man, a businessman, and dare I say it, a former parliamentary candidate for the best seat in the world, Basildon and Billericay. Although I must say, I do hope I go one step further than him this summer. I know Gavin's first priority is always the residents of Basildon. He led the borough through COVID, and I know he'll lead the borough through whatever challenges may come in the years to come. Whether it's fixing the bins, cleaning up our estates, or breathing new life into our town centres, Gavin will work tirelessly for the people of Basildon, and that is why I'm proud to nominate him as, or second him as leader of the council.
Are there any other nominations for leader of the council? Congratulations, Councillor Callaghan. You are now leader of the council. Moving on to item 9, establishment of council committees and associated issues. A report from the monitoring officer has been circulated to all members of the council. I call Councillor Callaghan as leader to move the recommendations. You do not require a seconder. You have up to 10 minutes, but if you need more time, then you are allowed that. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor. Can I thank colleagues from across the chamber for putting their trust and confidence in me to lead the council again. It is an awesome It is an awesome responsibility. I promise to put my heart and soul into it once again for the benefit of all of our residents and all of our businesses. Before speaking to the order paper, as is customary at the AGM, Mr Mayor, I wish to place a few things on record. And can I begin by taking the opportunity to once again place on record my condolences to the family and friends of the former Mayor, Luke Mackenzie. Luke was just a couple of years older than me, and we served on this council for a number of years together. He was taken before his time, and I am glad that he received the send-off that he deserved at St Martin's just a few weeks ago. Can I congratulate you, Mr Mayor, and you, Madam Deputy Mayor, on your elevations this evening. As Labour's longest-serving councillor, you've already given decades of devoted service to Basildon, and I know that you will do a great job. You fully deserve the title as the first citizen of the borough. I want to thank the outgoing leader of the council, Councillor Baggott, as well, for his service too. I know how difficult a job this is, and anyone who puts themselves through it deserves the gratitude of the Chamber, regardless of political affiliation. I would also like to thank, and I mean really thank, the former deputy leader of the council, Councillor Blake as well, because Kevin, without you, none of this would have been possible. I also want to congratulate Councillors Schrader and Westwick on the births of their baby boys during the election campaign. It's nice to know that in the year 2042 we will have 2 more Labour gains north of the A127. And I send my commiserations and thanks to all candidates who stood and lost at the election in May. Putting yourself forward for local elections is tough at the best of times, but in the current climate where defamation is more commonplace than deference, it is hard to imagine why anyone would want to do it. But without them, our democratic functions would fail, so I thank them. To all returning members, I send my congratulations, but particularly to those on the Labour benches, where we are the largest party and clearly enjoyed the trust and confidence of more voters than at any time for 30 years. For the first time, Mr Mayor, in a quarter of a century, the residents of our borough were given the chance to elect every single member of this council. It was the very definition of a chance for change, and the public made their views emphatically clear. The order paper tonight reflects the need for a serious change of direction, and we start this administration with a comparison. For 2 years, we led the council. For 3 years, the Conservatives led the council. Our time, as we've heard, was a period of unprecedented challenge as I led the council through the COVID pandemic, the biggest challenge that this council has faced in its history. Despite the scale and the challenge of COVID, we managed to attract £1.8 billion of private sector investment into the borough for regeneration and new jobs. We passed plans to revolutionise youth services for our borough's young people. We laid out plans for the first conference and multi-purpose event space in Essex to be housed here in Basildon. We brought forward plans for a new supermarket in Wickford, 800 new council homes for the borough, the largest investment in the council house stock in 32 years. We delivered key worker housing through Sempra, created grants for first-time buyers from Basildon, upgraded the bus station, invested in commercial deals that yielded a 3-to-1 return versus any that the Tories had brought forward, and we froze the council tax for 2 years running without cutting a single frontline service. We did all of that in just 2 years. Now compare it to the last 3. On the Tories' watch, they've passed plans for 1,423 flats in Basildon Town Centre. They were set to hand back millions in grant money to central government and the Arts Council because they didn't have any idea how to spend it. They rescinded the local plan and gave developers free rein to put speculative planning applications in every and any parcel of green space they could get their hands on. They haven't laid a brick at the Langdon Shopping Centre. The Morrisons in Wickford fell through. They stood by as the temporary accommodation costs soared to over £2.3 million a year on this council with no plan to fix it. They promised £40 million for estate regeneration, then turned them into fly tipper paradises with black sacks dumped all over them. Sempra Housing didn't build any homes. Car Park 14 remains derelict. Knife crime and violence against women and girls is rising. They've spent more time working on schemes to block councillors from entering this building and accessing officers than they have on regenerating our towns. When they have thought up a regeneration policy, it's been to build a private hospital and a diagnostic centre. Tomorrow, their colleagues at County will dump a toxic waste plant in Pitsea, meaning that whether it is the air that we breathe or the rubbish we see, The only way to maximise a Tory regeneration is to get as sick as you possibly can. They've robbed people of their dignity, forced them to live in squalor, and from tomorrow, filthy air. They spend hours talking about the wonders of partnership working, but say nothing about the partners who fail to fill in the potholes and leave our roads looking more like Baghdad than Basildon. They've prioritised golden handshakes instead of offering helping hands to those struggling with the cost of living crisis. They've raised the council tax to the highest levels ever recorded in Basildon Council's history and shown zero imagination when it comes to closing the financial gap. They laud the commercial investments but conveniently forget that they voted against the investments currently generating 75% of the total annual income. They've introduced the grass tax, then doubled it, raised the fees and charges. Their plan has been to squeeze every penny that they can possibly rip out of people whilst cutting services and treating this council like a cash cow. That is their record. And in the election, there were no plans to improve Basildon. All we heard from them in this election was who they didn't want to live next to, what they didn't want to happen, how hard they would work to stop things. Mr. Mayor, till the day I die, I will never understand why someone goes to all the trouble of fighting elections only to talk about what we can't do and what we really shouldn't fight for. So I tell the public and the staff of the council tonight, enough. Enough policy of drift, decay and managed decline. It ends. Our promise is clear. The beleaguered Bagot may have broken Basildon, but this administration will fix it. And it starts with the bins. The election was a referendum on the bins. And to any member or officer that is listening to what I am saying and mistakenly believes that this is simply a cost issue or a question of which bag or bin we should replace, I say to you, you are missing the point. In this election, I spoke to so many people whose stories stayed with me. The first was a lady who had just reached her 70s. She had lived in Basildon since the 1960s, and she'd worked for this council her whole career. She loved Basildon. She loved its promise, but also its potential. She owned her own home that she had lived in for the last 35 years. She raised her children in that home, and she had planned to grow old and live her remaining days in the home. As we spoke, I could see her becoming emotional. Her eyes were beginning to water as she told me that she wanted to leave Basildon. Just saying those words she never dreamt she would say, made something deeply uneasy inside her, and the upset quickly turned to anger and to frustration. She talked about how let down she felt, how the bin system had turned the place she lived and loved into a dumping ground, how Coke cans and crisp packets, envelopes and plastic bottles flying around the green space outside our home after the refuse collectors had poured the sacks out and let things spill had not just become commonplace, but accepted practice. She talked about how the uncollected black sacks, uncollected for months, not days or weeks, months, was creating rat infestations where she lived. She told me she'd stopped having her friends over on a Thursday morning for coffee because she was too ashamed of them driving onto the estate where she lived. She was becoming socially isolated. Her conclusion was that Basildon Council had given up on her, so she should give up on Basildon. Then there was the cardiovascular nurse. She was taking her black sacks out to the bin, and we spoke for less than 20 seconds before she too became emotional and began crying. She worked 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week at our hospital, and she was skint. At the end of every month, she had nothing left. She asked me to look around the cul-de-sac where she lived and asked me, what do I notice? The answer was that everyone else had cut their front garden grass. She hadn't, because she didn't have a spare 50 quid to get the new bin sticker. It was a visible mark of shame for her. And she described how coming back from a 5th or 6th straight 12-hour shift and having to spend time cleaning your front garden of rubbish or drive past endless dump black sacks that had also been left there for months was soul-destroying for her. The cost of living crisis was eating into her finance. The cost of this council was making her want to leave. She told me that despite not having much, she'd saved every penny to be able to afford to buy her forever home. But she too wanted to leave Basildon. And it wasn't just because the new bin system doesn't really make sense or that the receptacles are useless. It wasn't even the fact that we are paying the highest council tax and receiving less of a service. It was the fact that the council thought it was acceptable to leave people living in these conditions. She told me that she felt like the council didn't care about her and that it was the definition of being treated like a second-class citizen. The worst part about all of it, Mr. Mayor, is that she was absolutely right. The council over the last 6 months has known the price of everything and the value of nothing. We have totally forgotten and lost sense of what is right and wrong and of how to treat people. And the generational distrust that this bin system has engineered between the council and the public cannot be underestimated. During COVID, we proved that we could be compassionate, empathetic, responsive and outward-facing. The bin reform has completely ripped that up. From the ill-advised communication campaign to the heavy-handed enforcement notices, this council has been totally out of step with the public. So restoring confidence in the council won't be easy. Actions will speak louder than words. It is why we will set about on day one to restore the weekly black bin collections and to have a proper, meaningful consultation on whether the public want to return to pink sacks or new bins to dispose of their recycling. It is why we will get on with building new council homes, because decent, hard-working people, not antisocial yobs as they were described on the Conservative Party leaflets, need a home to call their home. We will be unashamedly Basildon first in all our approach, from ensuring Basildon people get first dibs on new homes to guaranteeing Basildon businesses are at the front of the queue in the supply chain. We will halve the temporary accommodation costs in year one and return them to pre-22 levels by the end of year two. We will bring forward the council's first AI strategy. We will connect the council to the community through grant funding, social prescribing platforms and a relentless focus on culture, sport and the arts as a pivotal part of Basildon's history and its future. We will pass a local plan and ensure we have greater protections on our green spaces. We will deliver the first youth zone in Essex. We will force Essex Police to do more to crack down on the out-of-control vehicle thefts that are blighting our estates and forcing insurance premiums to rise. We will change the culture within this council. We will replace the managed decline philosophy with a belief in power with purpose. I don't accept the Conservatives' belief that after 14 years of a Tory government in Westminster, 25 years of a Conservative administration at County Hall, and 22 out of the last 25 years of Tory control at Basildon, that change isn't possible. It is, and the public demanded it on May the 2nd. On these benches we believe in Basildon, and that is central to the regeneration of the town centre. No dodgy deal with a cinema provider weeks before polling day could pull the wool over the public's eyes. The failure of this council to grip regeneration in all towns of this borough is there for everyone to see. We all remember in 2021 when they promised that their residents that they could overturn planning permissions and stop high-rise buildings. We all remember how they then wasted millions of pounds of taxpayer cash on appeals that the planning inspector laughed out of the room. We knew in 2021 they couldn't stop it. They knew in 2021 they couldn't stop it. But instead, they lied and they lied and they lied. And just 84 days after assuming control of the council in 2021, they passed the planning application for an 11-storey building on the old Carphone warehouse site because there was no legal planning reason to stop it. On the 30th of March 2022, whilst the Conservatives were in control, they gave permission to developers to build 495 flats as high as 23 storeys. On the 17th of March 2021, whilst the Conservatives were in control, they gave permission to build more flats. On the 11th of October 2023, whilst the Tories were in control, they gave developers plans to build more flats. Having promised the public they could stop tower blocks being built, they sat here as almost 1,500 flats were given planning permission, with more than 10 tower blocks being built across the town centre. Fast forward to 2024, and they have learnt nothing. More leaflets sent out in St Martin's than in any other ward in the borough. Doomsday would come. The apocalypse would ensue if Gavin Callaghan was elected to this council. Pictures of Hong Kong flats all over their leaflets. What happened? More people went out in St Martin's and voted for me than any other candidate in this election. Because the public can see through what the Tories are saying. But do you know what, Mr. Mayor? It is actually worse than that. Because I have made a bit of a discovery that they did indeed actually have the chance to save it. In July of last year, the Conservative Party and the former leader, Councillor Baggott, was presented with a paper to reduce the height of the Market Square development from 17 stories down to just 12 stories. He was given the chance to own it and to have 100% nomination power. It was a deal that could have given the council more than £1 million in additional revenue and £900,000 in additional council tax.
Fancy that.
Some on the Tory benches are looking at me like this is news. Imagine, Mr. Mayor, lower heights, additional revenues, money to keep weekly black sack collections, public ownership and protection from London boroughs buying our housing stock. What did the geniuses on that side of the chamber do? I've got the letter here. It says, and I quote, dated the 27th of July, "I appreciate your continued efforts in refining the development in terms of the reduced tower heights and resultant density. Having undertaken careful consideration, it is unfortunately not appropriate for the Council to take forward the proposal at this time. The Council wishes you every success in the delivery of the project. Yours sincerely, Councillor Baggott and former Councillor Rimmer."
Wow.
So there we have it, Mr. Mayor. The Tories had the chance to make good on their promises, to reduce heights, protect our position, fund weekly black bin collections, and they said no. So the question that we are going to have to ask every single time they raise the tower block question on this council is why, when you had the chance to stop it, did you say no? And look, it really shouldn't be a surprise. What is obvious is that the Conservative Party in Basildon cannot even regenerate the Conservative Party in Basildon. After masterminding the Conservatives' worst election result in Basildon for 25 years, instead of opting to go for something new, something fresh, something modern, dynamic, dare I say even shiny, they decided instead to stick with the same misery as before. Is it really any wonder that they can't regenerate Basildon Town Centre, that they let the Heriot site in Wickford fall through, that the Lane and Shopping Centre is still a construction site? Yesterday's men who'd struggled to spell AI, clueless about how to build a modern Basildon, and yes, the public noticed. Our regeneration plan will not just be about housing, as important as that is. We will ensure we bring back the high-quality retailers our town centre desperately needs. We will bring back businesses and employees into the town centre off our industrial estates. We will ensure there is a modern, high-quality food and beverage offer. And crucially, we will ensure we devote as much time to improving the parking, the lighting, the streetscape and the security of our town centre, so that whatever time of the day people choose to use our shops, use our bars and use our restaurants, they are safer in Basildon than they have ever been. There is a truth. My last administration passed the master plan. In the last 3 years, the Tories had the chance to change it, and they didn't do it. Basildon Town Centre isn't dying. It is dead. It is finished in its current form. It must change. No one on any of these benches wants to see Basildon turned into a concrete jungle with nothing but flats. We need something better, and it means that we will all have to work together within the parameters of the law to make it happen. So as leader, I'll listen to any and all good ideas from wherever they come from, and if it can be changed and amended, if it makes sense to do so, and we can have the legal powers to do it, then we'll do it. If we don't have the power to change it, I'll be honest about it, and I hope this time you will too. Because, Mr. Mayor, last year, Councillor Emma Callaghan and I welcomed our daughter to the world, and with the grace of God, she'll live to see the year 2100. What we do now will shape how Basildon is perceived and viewed over her lifetime. I cannot believe that the current version of Basildon that my administration inherits today is the best version of this borough. We have to do better. And when it comes to the debate about the regeneration of Basildon Town Centre, it really is time for councillors to grow up and stop the rot. Now, you wouldn't know it, you mentioned this earlier, Mr. Mayor, that this is actually the 75th anniversary of the Basildon New Town. In the aftermath of war and strife, in a July general election, by the way, 1945, Clement Attlee set about building homes for heroes. Alongside his decision to create the NHS, he brought forward the New Towns Act that meant Basildon was to be in the first wave, providing high quality and affordable housing, secure employment, good quality of living, education, green spaces and a real sense of community. In my opinion, Basildon has undoubtedly been one of our country's greatest success stories over the last 8 decades. Each of us who serve on this council are custodians of the promise upon which the new towns were built. The promise that in Basildon, if you work hard, do right by yourself and your family, you can live a good life and that your tomorrows can be better than your yesterdays. Right now, because this council has failed for so long to get to grips with the challenges we face, that belief in Basildon has weakened. This administration, through the order paper before you, will strengthen it. We will put the people of this borough before political expediency or our own bank balances. We will deliver on the promises we have made, and we will set this borough up for the next century. Together with our public, we will ensure that everyone, whether they've lived here since the 60s or they've purchased their forever home, whether they want to raise their family here or they plan to grow old and see out their days, on our watch, this will be a borough that is the true capital of South Essex, and we will work day and night to ensure all our residents and all our businesses truly believe in Basildon.
Thank you, members, and thank you, Leader. I now open the matter for debate. Please raise your hands if you want to speak. Councillor Baggott.
No, you ain't got Baggott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would once again congratulate both the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor on their appointment. I think that Basildon will be in good hands under your auspices. So well done, and I look forward to seeing you continue the works of our previous mayors as you go around the borough. I've never really considered myself a politician. I came into public office to actually do a good job for residents, to do the best I could do, to act with a level of integrity. And the thing is, politicians across the borough, and Councillor Callaghan did allude to it, across the borough, across the nation, have a really poor rep right now, because politicians are seen as people that will twist facts, that will pick out the bits that suit them at the time to suit them to make a point, that will try and score underhand points, that are sometimes even, some politicians are seen as people that will just lie and cheat and say whatever they want in order to make their point. And I can understand why the public have a very low opinion of politicians. And that, I think, was reflected in the election results across the borough and will result in the result we get in the general election. So I congratulate Councillor Callaghan. He's a consummate politician and gave a great speech, but it was a political speech at the end of the day. We as an opposition have listened to the people. We have always listened to the people and will continue to listen to the people. In this election, the public were very dissatisfied with the Conservatives in general nationally. We take that on board. We take on board where we may or may not be able to improve in the future, but we give a commitment to the residents of this borough that we will act in opposition with integrity. We will hold the administration to account. We will, where possible, suggest alternatives and be listened to or not. We will ensure that everybody in this borough is treated fairly and equitably across the borough. We will make sure that there are no axes to grind or malice carried out across the borough against the residents. And we will ensure that the promises that Councillor Callaghan makes are actually delivered. Because if you were to read the election literature that came out from the Labour group, they only had one plan, and that was the bins. No other policy whatsoever, and also not telling the people that on many occasions in the subsequent 4 years, where they had the opportunities through working groups to contribute to the waste collection, their input was listened to and their input was applied. No mention of the fact that they had kicked the bucket down the road on many an occasion to actually get to grips with waste collection, which was a legislative requirement. No mention of the fact that the costs and the alternatives had been considered by working groups of all parties and agreed, but they jumped onto, and that's politics, they jumped onto a bandwagon, they tapped into the mood, and in the same way that we got elected because of the absolutely flawed dislike of the tower blocks across the centre of Basildon, they jumped onto the bins, and fairly, that's fair, we are where we are. As an opposition, we will act with integrity, we will represent the residents with integrity, and we will hold this administration to account. And all the promises you've made and all the things that you say, we will actually take on board and hold you to account on. It would be remiss of me if I didn't point out one thing, because on the whole, this is a chamber where we are supposed to act with an element of decorum, and somebody should say, because otherwise it gets unsaid, that Councillor Smith's comments about Mr Dadds, a member of the public who isn't even here, for a cheap shot was actually uncalled for, unclassy, and actually just shows the low level of class that Councillor Smith sometimes operates from.
Mr Mayor, point of order. He's attacking my credibility.
And maybe he would like to apologise
Number 118.
at some point. Maybe he would like to apologise at some point to a member of the public that wasn't here to be able to defend himself.
Councillor Baggott, a point of order has been made which I need to resolve. Thank you. I'll call you going in a moment. Councillor Smith.
He's impugning my reputation. I was talking about my friend David Dadds. We worked long and well together. It was disgusting what the Tories done. He should have carried on as mayor, and he's over maligning me. Oh, he's not even in my party. I stick up for the man. I show him respect, and he's trying to malign me. It's disrespectful, Mr Mayor. Impugning my reputation.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith. I do not find these words that has been said as impugning your reputation. But I will ask him to moderate his speech. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Baggott, please moderate your continued speech. Thank you.
I will moderate my speech, and of course I would never wish to impugn the reputation of Councillor Smith. It's a low bar, and I would hate to actually try to get to
Mayor.
it. But
he's calling me a low bar. What's that? Some sort of posh word for low life?
Councillor Smith.
You know, I think I can better words to describe him without having to use a dictionary to spell them, let alone pronounce them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. To conclude, I would hope that on reflection, Councillor Smith might want to apologise in public for the comments about Mr Dadds and what was effectively a cheap shot against a former mayor who served this borough with integrity and with the goodwill of this public. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baggott. Councillor David Harrison.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. May I first of all congratulate you on your election as mayor. You will know it's a hard job. I found that out, but it's well worth doing, and you will benefit a great deal from the people you meet across the borough in the year ahead. And I'm sure the people will appreciate what you do for the borough. The elections on May the 2nd have brought quite some change to the political landscape in the borough, with many new councillors and some old hands coming back, myself included. Now, Wickford Independents are delighted by their success, and we assure our residents that we will do our best for Wickford in the years ahead. We will be looking for improvements in the way our waste is collected. There's been problems in Wickford, especially with the blue and white bags collecting down the streets and blowing away in the wind. We will be hoping for early progress on the local plan for the borough. We haven't had one since 1998, and so if we get a local plan, we can stop the speculative development without the necessary infrastructure needed to support such developments. We want to see some urgent action by Sempra Homes on the old police station site in London Road, Wickford, and early discussions on the future of the old co-op site. Regeneration of Wickford has stood still now for over 3 years, That's too long. As we move forward, we will always be looking for good financial management and value for money in any decisions that we support. We have had discussions with the leader of the largest group on the council and made it quite clear to him that we would not be part of a coalition administration of the council, but we will be part of the opposition, but we'll always try to be a constructive opposition. Listened to our representations and arguments that there were roles on the council that should not be taken by members of the administration. We believe that the overall control of scrutiny should be held by opposition members as it was previously in 2017, so that in effect the administration is not marking its own homework. Councillor Callaghan has agreed with that argument. He has also agreed that audit and risk is also a role for the opposition and meets its requirements in providing independent scrutiny of the authority's financial and non-financial performance, as well as to oversee the financial reporting process. Wickford independent councillors will take on these roles if the order paper is agreed, as members of the opposition. The formation of an area committee for Wickford is also important to my group, in which opposition members will be able to work together for the benefit of the area. There is no whip for Wickford independent councillors, and we hope that as we proceed over the next 2 years, members of all groups will be able to work together for the benefit of our residents. We will support the recommendations tonight, and let us hope that all members will work together as we go forward, despite having a general election coming up shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You won't have to warn me about using bad language. I'll leave it to the now leader of the opposition to call me a scumbag at the last meeting he chaired. And the Tuesday after the elections, I won't embarrass the Conservative member. He called me something that starts with a letter A and it sounds like a pothole in a foyer in front of women and children and other members of the council. Luckily, I'm from Dagenham because it's a water from my ducks back, and if I respected him, I'd take offence. I'd like to pick up from where Councillor Harrison said in his speech about area committees. There was some grain of truth in what the former leader said about areas being treated better than others, and if you're south of the 127, these last 3 years you saw plenty of it. Now these area committees will make sure each of the areas within it will have an eventual budget and it will be governed by the local people. So the Billericay one will not be chaired by members of the administration. It will be Billericay members. You will have a budget, and the things you want done in your ward or wards, that area committee can do. I think that's fair. I think that's the way forward. That is something I champion. It's a pity the previous administration held the meetings at 5:30 on the afternoon and on Teams, which do not work. All right? And it was to our motion that myself and Councillor Larkin tabled. So that's a positive way forward. We'd like the planning in with that, but you can't have everything. On the subject of planning, I'm pleased with our tough negotiations. They were slightly tough, Gavin, wasn't they? But the members of the public would want a strong leader, because we're going to be going to battle with Essex County Council, because if the result goes the way it thinks it's on July the 4th, goodbye Rishi, then it's Independence Day for Basildon starting from there. And you can watch Essex County Council go to government with their begging bowl. We can't fleece Basildon for another copper coin. So they can put £8 million of their taxpayers' money towards a hamburger roundabout in Chelmsford, but leave the Roundacre roundabout cratered. But my colleague, Councillor Larkin, will be chairing the planning committee. She was the chairman of the bench, a long-standing magistrate, and she will help us save planning control. That's another benefit of the snap general election. Any time Michael Gove was going to intervene and take over our planning functions, no member in this room would want this. No member whatsoever. So it's important we get planning decisions lawful and correct, so protect the borough's planning abilities. The independents are joining in with the alliance, because if we don't stick together south of the 127, certain members north of the 127 will exploit us, pick out our green fields, things to cut. When I left my house today, the grass uncut, dumped plastic pots and plastic bags. Someone had pink sacks there. I thought, where'd they come from? I thought it was supposed to be collected, and by my car, 8 dumped black sacks. That's a job for you, Councillor McGowan. After tonight, I'll be on to you to get them cleared. But we need to solve that problem long term. And that's why people unanimously voted to get the administration out of power and put an administration in power to restore weekly bin collections. That was why local authorities were created in the first place, to protect the public health. And a weekly bin service is a part of that. And equally, getting rid of those rotten, disgusting, minging recycling bags that this council refused to do a health impact assessment on the grounds we didn't need to do one because other local authorities haven't done one. That's no excuse. If you look inside one of those recycling bags, if you had one of those scientific swabs there, one like the forensic shows or these science shows, you'd find loads of nasties. And they expect people to have that in their own. That has got to be done, Mr Mayor, through the chair to the leader. That's got to be fixed at Warp Speed, Councillor Callaghan. Got to get that done because we've got to protect the public health from these rotten, dirty, minging, rank pathogen bags. And if I had my way, if you want a place to get rid of them that would do the world the power of good, ship them all to Ukraine and tell the Ukrainians to wait for a windy day and then aim them at the Russian tanks. But whatever you do, take the word Basildon Council off, because it might give the Tories a smile when someone from the Kremlin comes round to visit you. Because that's the only positive thing I think you could do with those rotten, rank bags. I look forward to fixing things in the housing department. I'm not going to be mean to my predecessor, but it was better when I took over from Councillor Turner. We might have had warm conversations that could have raised a lot of money on Sky pay-per-view. Only once we've done the deal, Councillor Turner, with Sky. We're going to need that money. But there's a lot of work to do, and I want to make sure everyone in this borough has a decent, who's our tenants, have a decent, clean home and start the work to cut in the housing waiting list. And finally, Mr Mayor, we left plans to get Brook House done and decant the tenants into Acorn House. What a shame. With the ward members for St Martin's, we're going to get that problem fixed again at Warp Speed. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Turner.
Congratulations, Mr Mayor and Miss Deputy Mayoress, on your appointment. I have no shame in saying I wish you all the best. I think it's a marvellous appointment, even though it's not Conservative, and I have no hesitation in congratulating you on your post. So I did just have to take myself outside and give myself a good slap. Does anybody remember the Ewings? One day, Victoria Principal, in her role, wakes up and finds that she's been dreaming. And it was all a bad dream. Bobby Ewing had died and he was back. He was in the shower. And I'm thinking normal service has been resumed. And how lovely it is to welcome old foes back into the council chamber. Having said that, you have to forensically take apart the leader's speech to know that it isn't quite as it seems. I mean, otherwise we'd all get carried away and support you, wouldn't we? But things like, I mean, I'm not coming over just yet, but thanks for the offer. Let's take as much as we can in the 5 minutes that I've got. Let's take the highest ever council tax in the history of this borough. I look forward to budget day next year, because guess what? Nothing will change. It will be the highest council tax in the history of this borough. Look at the structural costs. You can't do anything, but you can get it down. Now, in the 5 years that I was around, we actually cut council tax by 0.25%. The other 4 years, we set it at 0. It was unusual. It was helped by the government, as you were helped by the government, which you missed out on your speech. But these are the things we tackle with. These are the things that you can't mislead the general public, because they think then, dare I say, it's all fake news. So if we're going to start on the right foot going forward with this new administration, and absolutely appreciate that we have got nothing to do for the next 3 years but oppose. And I hope we do that. I hope we do that sensibly, because it's going to be a long 3 years, and who knows how much longer it may be. So these are the things we would like to see. You talk about the local plan. We kicked it out and exposed the borough. Yes, you can absolutely say that. What was the alternative? I know. Let's accept the local plan and absolutely guarantee that the local plan gets delivered, which would be no good for anybody. Not just Billericay and Wickford, but across in the new town as well. So that's what you have to weigh up. And this is why I say we'll be taking speeches such as the leaders tonight and strategically critiquing it to find out where those gaps are. I don't know, but the tower blocks, no heckling with the radio, come on. All right, that's Mo, all right. So let's talk about tower blocks. Strangely enough, you gave a couple of examples, a couple of anecdotes where people were leaving the borough because they didn't like the waste. Would you believe that there are those anecdotes of people leaving the borough because they don't want the tower blocks? Previously, we couldn't even say the word. Kratos. Is that still the same? No. Okay, good. Because the tie up there, people just didn't see it, and you, Mr. Leader, were tarred with that brush. Now, if we're going to be open and transparent, as I think the leader's suggesting, then let's be open and transparent. Let's put all our cards on the table. Let's have that discussion, a sensible, grown-up and civilised discussion about what is the best way forward for the borough. Let me leave you with this last one. Sempra. You've tied up Sempra to deliver so much social housing, it can't do the job. It was, the concept of Sempra was about generating commercial weight. Once you had that commercial weight, then you had real power to deliver housing for the borough. We've strangled it. Let it go. Release it. Get the commercial side away. Let the commercial side go and generate that massive amount of money where we can turn it into real homes. I'm not against real homes, but if you're going to build council estates, then seriously, we've got a problem. Those words aren't mine. I just paraphrased it, if you may. I've just paraphrased it. This is the Association of House Builders that basically said if you build too much social housing in one place, it will put a strain and tension in social cohesion. That's the reality. Mr. Mayor, lastly, I would just leave you at this. If the leader's really serious about doing what's right for the borough, do what you did last time, resign.
Thank you. I have next going to call Councillor Blake, and then Councillor Callaghan will wind up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I say congratulations on your appointment again. I had no intention of speaking tonight, if I'm being absolutely honest, but a couple of things that need to be raised. I'd like what David Harrison said. We will be supporting this today, but his next breath saying, but we've got no whip. So what you're saying is you don't know whether your group are going to support this or not, because no whip there. Also, I will go along with Councillor Smith. The recycling bags are no good. They're not fit for purpose. We've said that, and we said we was going to change it, and it's a process that we've been going through. So you're not reinventing the wheel when you come to something like that. That is something that we are aware of. It didn't work, and we was addressing it. So absolutely on that one, happy to go along with you. I see that Councillor McGowan is in charge of the environment, and I don't have a problem. I think we worked quite well when we had the working group, exceptionally well. We never used to get on, let's be absolutely blunt about it. That is because he's a Scouse, supports Everton. Well, he supports Everton, that's bad enough. And I'm a bit worried also in planning how we got Mo being another Scouse supporting Liverpool, but that's another story. But the reason why I stood up tonight was something that Councillor Callaghan said. I will take criticism when it's directed at me, when it is my fault, always our responsibility. But let me make this clear, and it's not often I criticise officers, anybody who knows me to do that. The fact that we cannot go into the room there with our cards, the fact that we can't make a cup of tea or go in there, got our own room and that, the fact that we can't get hold of any officer at all, unless we copy and paste to something else, is absolutely nothing to do with this administration or other members in this room. And I know that because I've had so many complaints with it. It has nothing to do with us. That's an officer decision, and the officers have to take responsibility for that.
Wrong.
So just make that quite clear. I'll take criticism as far as it comes to me, but I will not take criticism when it's not deserved. That has absolutely nothing to do with us, and I'm sure I can see the nodding heads from a lot of members who absolutely agree with that. I think it's wrong. It needs to be changed. The fact that only the leader is allowed into the offices is wrong, fundamentally wrong in my view. Not even the deputy leader is allowed. And believe me, I tried. The fact that we had to stand outside when we got a problem and wait for an officer to come out of the offices or wait for someone to go in is appalling. Yeah. And I hope it can be changed. I hope the Chief Executive will listen to that because, I say, for me to criticise officers is very, very rare indeed. But I feel so strongly about this. I wasn't going to beat it up. It was only because Councillor Callaghan said it was our administration responsibility that I felt I had to do that. So thank you for listening to me.
I made a mistake. Councillor Ferguson, you indicated and I didn't see you. And then Councillor Callaghan will wind up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, it is good to be back in this chamber, and I'd like to first of all thank the residents of St Martin's for giving me this opportunity to be able to serve alongside them, work alongside my friends and colleagues, and Councillor Callaghan and Councillor Yacoub. Mr Mayor, as Councillor Callaghan rightly said, that this year our borough goes into its 75th birthday. For its 75th birthday present from the Conservative administration in January, what did they leave it? Black sacks all over the borough, pink sacks that couldn't be picked up, £50 charges for waste bins, nothing for our residents, and a bad service that they got time and time again. Mr Mayor, as I look forward to serving this borough as Cabinet Member with responsibility for culture, sport and community, I look forward to making sure that we give this borough the right and proper celebration it has for its 75th birthday of what it has given all of us in this borough. We have an opportunity this year to be able to show residents of this borough that they are finally, after a 3-year absence, going to get leadership back on this council. Leadership that, when it was asked last time by the residents of this borough, that Councillor Callaghan provided. We face similar challenges, different times, similar challenges, and this administration will once again step up to the mark. As I was preparing to come along to the meeting tonight, I was reflecting on the last council meeting that I took part in 2 years ago. We had a peer review, we had an end-of-year report, and all of those things that it highlighted needed to get your local plan passed. I stood here, listened time and time again to Tory cabinet members, committee chairs telling me, it's all right, it'll be okay in 2 years' time, we'll have a local plan passed by then. 2 years later, we are no further down the road than we were when I left this council chamber. The peer review also highlighted the need for cross-party working. And I welcome the Leader of the Opposition's celebration of cross-party working. No fewer than my time in Leader of the Opposition, I called for 7 cross-party working groups. He rejected every single one of them and said, I won't support it because everything you want is bad. This administration will not take that approach. This administration will work productively and constructively with all members. And quite rightly, we've heard from Councillor Harrison and Councillor Smith on the benefits of the area committees that we'll bring across this borough. I've listened to 3 Conservative speeches tonight, from the Leader of the Opposition, from the former Deputy Leader of the Council, and someone who was auditioning for the job of the Deputy of the Leader of the Opposition. And I welcome him to his audition. But the one word I didn't hear from all the speeches was sorry. That when you lose an election as badly as they did, you don't turn around to the public and you say it was all your fault. You don't turn around and blame the officers. You don't turn around and blame your government. You look at yourself and you say the word sorry. Sorry for 3 years of managed decline, 3 years of failure, 3 years of a town centre that's got no more life in it than it had 3 years ago. And for bringing in the worst decision that you could ever have made in making this borough just a haven for black sacks all over it. Everybody else's fault, and you didn't say sorry. So, Mr Mayor, I welcome this opportunity for a new outward-looking administration that will put residents first, that will put Basildon back on the map, and be a borough that once again our residents can be proud and call home. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Callaghan, you have 5 minutes to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll do it in reverse order and say again, it's great to see Councillor Ferguson back. The judgment of the residents of St Martin's, I have to say, is impeccable. I'm a big fan. I thought he was going to go full on Elton John there, which sorry seems to be the hardest word, but it was good to have him back. Councillor Blake, I thank you for what you said about the bags not working. Interesting that it was in all of the comms 6 months before they actually got delivered, so you know we all knew what was coming, but you weren't able to foresee the disaster that you then unfolded on the public. And I also am grateful that you have admitted that it was an officer-led administration as opposed to a member-led administration where officers called the shots and you literally stood by with no power. I will come to what you talked about a little bit later on in the next meeting because we probably share the same view when it comes to some of that. Councillor Turner was next and I've got to say it's good to see you back. For 3 years you were on mute. You didn't speak. I would have liked to have seen you on the front bench, part-time Phil, coming back for another round, but you didn't do it. You talked about the highest council tax burden and how we shouldn't highlight it. There seems to be a running pattern coming up to the general election amongst Conservatives. They've raised taxes 27 times nationally. They keep raising taxes locally. And they would rather like us all to not talk about any of it. That's what they keep telling us, and then say, oh, well, it can't change, nothing can get any better, so just let us keep taxing you, which is an odd position to take, I have to say. He said when it came to the local plan that it's no good for anybody, apart from the people who desperately need houses, right? Apart from the people who want to live in this borough. Apart from the people who want to be able to see their children and their grandchildren grow up because it's become too expensive for them. So we probably take a different approach to that. He talks about the tower blocks and he talks about Sempra. Let me just explain, because a few members of the Conservative Party never quite got to grips with this. We were talking about affordable housing in Sempra. We were not talking about council housing. The 800 council homes we were building were through the HRA. We were building commercial properties with affordable, in some cases, and compliant with the then local plan, affordable schemes, but it was for the commercial market. The fact you haven't built any in 3 years is on you. Nobody else, on you. And you need to reconcile that. He then went into the defamation, which we can touch on outside of this, and asked me to resign, and I simply say, you wish. Councillor Smith, interesting as ever, talking about the minion recycling bags. I think we all agree with that, and highlighting the Tory relationship with Russia. Just to confirm, as much as I would like to, we will not be arming Ukraine in the budget at the next round. So the 151, I think, is somewhere in the back. Don't worry, we won't be doing that. But he was right to raise the issue of the planning threat. This authority is well and truly flashing red when it comes to planning, and we have got to make sure that we do not fall foul of whatever government diktat comes after the 4th of July. Councillor Harrison mentioned the area committees, and I have to say it's not something that I was necessarily in favour of before we had the conversation. He pushed me towards it, and we had a lot of conversations about it, and I'm grateful to him for it. It's something that I think will be for the benefit of the whole of the borough, and I look forward to every member being constructive. Never say I don't do anything for Billericay. I've just given you your own area committee and money to spend. So I look forward to hearing all your wonderful ideas. I'm sure your residents are as well, because we didn't see him in the election. Then we had Councillor Baggott, and I'm not sure I've missed this, to be honest, listening to that waffle. He promised to listen to the people, just not about the bins, and not about the tower blocks where 1,500 flats have been passed on his watch. And what he simply said was, oh, well, you know, it just happens, doesn't it? You know, we said it, but we couldn't quite do it. Well, let me tell you, we've said that we're going to sort out the bins. We are going to sort out the bins on this side of the chamber. There was an odd exchange about former councillor Dads, who also joined the Labour Party as well over the last 3 years, and it would have been nice to see if he had wanted to be a Labour councillor, but nonetheless, he's not here, so we can't talk about him anymore. What a shame for everybody. He mentioned about the legislative requirement about the bins, and I think it's important that we put it on record. On the 20th of September, it was said, the proposal that we should force you to have 7 different bins in your home is ridiculous. I've scrapped it. That was Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, the Conservative Prime Minister, telling us 2 months before they introduced 7 bins that we didn't need 7 bins. So let's be clear with the public. It was a Conservative choice to ruin the bin system. It's our choice to fix it.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Leader. We now move to the vote on the order paper, item 9, establishment of council committees and associated issues. All those in favour, please show. All those against? Are there any abstentions? No. With 29 for and 13 against, the motion is passed. I now will be closing this meeting. A reminder that there's an extraordinary meeting of the council following shortly, but in between we'll have a 15 to 20 minute break. Thank you.